Now, time to answer a question submitted by you. Today's question was submitted anonymously. Our listener asks, how can I live comfortably and do what I want if I did not graduate college or high school? I am 20 years old and I don't want to take a job that I do not like. Thank you for your question. Now, I'm going to start by picking on you a little bit. In your question, you did not specify what it is that you want to do. You just said that you want to do what you want to do. What I think you're running into here is you don't want to do something that is unappealing to you. You know what you don't want to do, but you're not sure of what you want to do. You try something, you think you want to try it, and you find that there's something undesirable that is demanded of you with that particular job or education track. So you don't do it. You just walk away from it. And this is a common human reaction. What we need to do, if that's you, is be honest in recognizing that that is what you're doing. And we can go from there. Now you ask, what is it that I have to do to live comfortably and do what I want to do? Well, let's start with living comfortably as being living above the poverty line. Let's make that our standard for answering this question. If you drop out of high school, the odds that you end up below the poverty line are 1 in 4. 25% of high school dropouts end up living below the poverty line. This is about double the poverty rate of those who graduate high school according to census data reported in 2020. So if you were to go back to school and graduate high school, or at least get your GED, you're going to take your risk of being below the poverty line from over 25% down to 12.7%, again, according to the census. If you were to continue your education track and get just a little bit of college, not necessarily graduate, but attain some exposure to higher education, your risk of being below the poverty line drops to 8.4%. And if you graduate with at least a bachelor's degree, your risk of being below the poverty line drops to less than 4.4%. You can take your odds of living uncomfortably below the poverty line from above 25% all the way down to 4.4% by just pursuing education. Now, that's not always going to be the answer. There are some degrees that you can pursue in college that are not marketable and may put you in a worse position than you are now. Also, if going back to college means that you're going to take out student loan debt, that's going to put you behind the 8 ball and prevent you from living your fullest with the income you're able to earn. Student loan debt is nothing but a ball and chain that promises your income away, promises your future away to a job that you may not like. Speaking of, let's talk about that. You may not want to go back to school, but you need to recognize that there's going to be some good with going back to school, and there's going to be some stuff that you don't want to do. If you look at those two things, the good with the bad, you got to take them both together in order to achieve a greater good. And that's going to be true of a job. Even if you didn't go back to school and you took any job now, there's always going to be a part of it that you don't like. And I think it would be prudent for you to reflect on what it is that you want to do as an end goal. What is it? What kind of change do you want to contribute to society? What sort of value do you want to provide them? What is it that's going to help motivate you to get up in the morning and feel excited for what you're going to do, even if your day entails something that is unappealing? Thomas Edison said this: a successful person makes a habit of doing what the failing person doesn't like to do. And I know going to school and doing work may not be fun, but if we're going to be talking about living comfortably, living above the poverty line and pursuing a higher income, I got to mention to you that it's more important for you to actually just hold down full-time work in order to stay above the poverty line. Only 2.2% of Americans who are working full-time are below the poverty line. 2.2%. That's less than half of those who we were talking about who graduated from college with a bachelor's degree or greater. So the number one thing that you can do if you've dropped out of high school is find full-time work and stick with it. And I'm talking about employment, not starting with nothing and trying to go self-employed into some sort of endeavor where you are exposing yourself to high undue risk, where you're not able to feed yourself and you end up living off of debt or having to depend on friends and family in such a way that you end up damaging relationships and not finding any stability, where you can work on building your hope-filled financial future through healthy, budgeted spending, saving, and giving.